Welcome back to the Missing Detail Model Scaling channel. So another task I want to get achieved today is to do some detail painting of the interiors or the fuselage interior, wheel well interior and other small parts of the AZ Models K14, BF109 K14. So what we're using will be this kit I have here. It's all me Abteilung oils. I use these for any painting, any brush painting. So much so I actually keep my brushes in here. I have stacks of other brushes, but I've discovered for detail painting where an Optivizer, these God Hands short handled brushes. Now they feel strange when you first pick them up, but actually when you're wearing an Optivizer or other magnification device, that's mine, this allows you to get really close without knocking the end of the handle on your visor, thus making a mistake on the piece of painting. So yeah, I find these great, so much so I just keep these in here. This is actually a dry brush, which can be useful for certain raised details, whatnot. There's another one I use for dry brushing, which is the angled flat. Yeah, it's dead useful. I think today we'll be using a long tipped. And with these, they say you can actually put them in hot water to straighten them if they ever go curly. So far, they've stayed pretty true. Pretty pleased with them. I think they're under just about under a tenner each. But yeah, if they make any more, I'll be picking these up. No idea what they are. The serials seem to go from L to S to just Japanese, which I can't read. Right, so paintbrush, palette. I've experimented with the Abteilung flat effect fillers, but in honesty it's going to get flat varnished anyway, so I'll show you a few examples of what I'm actually going to do. Just put this to one side. So as a recap, I'm currently building 4 109s. Here's some parts for these are for the 2 Edward kits. So what I'm actually trying to do, so well we can focus in on here. What we're trying to do is we're trying to highlight. No, slightly. No, I've gone in there. There are rivets all through that wheel, all through the shaping on there, and I've actually put a blob of oil on each one of the rivets. And as well as that, I'm gonna force the light dark effect by actually doing that unrealistic, like fantasy figure painting effect, where I'm going to go round and actually highlight every edge with a little bit of oil that's slightly lighter, not in white, just in the oil that's slightly lighter than the paint. Hopefully, so it's almost unperceivable, but just so it kind of lifts the detail a bit. Yeah, the details there. It might be hidden by a wheel and that, but if anyone actually looks, which I do, then it's there. What else we got here? So another good example is the actual. Now you see, I've made a few mistakes with building these two kits in that there's some very subtle differences that once you've got the piece off the sprue, you're probably not going to be able to notice what it is. So this is, so I've marked, this is the F side, this is the G side. Okay, so on there as well, if that's focusing, I've done the same. I put slightly lighter oil paint on all the raised edges. Yeah, and then there's a wash in there to further add to the dark light effect. Okay, these are great little landing gear legs. They look amazing. So that's what I want to achieve. Here's a few more examples. This one's probably a good one. This is the Special Hobby E cockpit interior. And here I've gone around and done the same, because it's going to be so dark inside that cockpit and in the wheel wells, I feel like this unrealistic technique forces a bit of contrast in the dark spaces. So I'm quite happy using an unrealistic technique in there in order to really force it. So when it's mega dark, when it's mega dark, we can still pick up the edges and see the detail in there. Right, that's how we go about it. And like I said, with the thinner I'm going to use, I've tried the dry, I've used, this is the fast dry thinner. Is it faster? I'm not sure. Give it a shake, so whatever poppies are in there, might work. But ultimately, I find oil paint, if it's not big lumps of oil paint, it dries within a day or two anyway. I've seen videos where people go straight in with varnish to seal it and then you can handle it. So, this is why I use oil to do all my detail painting. But yeah, it's going to be glossy. It's going to give a gloss finish. So at some point it's going to be matte varnished, so it will be knocked back. So with these, I've gone from an E, which has show you again. I've gone from the E that has an RLM02 interior, which now I'm on the K14, and we're into straight up RLM66. Both of these colours, for information, have been lightened quite a lot. So it's the correct colour, but they've both been really lightened. It's hard to see it in the bright light there, but they've both been lightened as much as I dare, really. If I was a braver man, I might go even a bit lighter. Just like I say again, for that scale effect, if you do it the original colour without lightening it, it's going to be lost. It's just going to be all dark. On here I've got unpainted brass photo etch seat straps, which actually I prefer, because you can put them on now, you can clean up the super glue, and then I can paint it. Whereas with the Eduard pre-painted ones, you have to put them on after everything's painted, and if any of the glue stands out, it's harder to hide. So I find it's much more forgiving using just straight up metal ones. Right, so I'm not going to be, I think there's virtually nothing, there's nothing on the K that's actually RLM02, whereas the Eduard ones in between, the Eduard Fs and Gs, they're in between, where they have RLM66 cockpit. It's RLM66 cockpit? And then RLM02 wheel wells. The K is, I guess, that late on the water, they were just using RLM66. So I got to paint all this detail you know, all the instrument boxes, the fuel, the airline. No, it's not the airline. It's the yellow fuel line which runs down here. Thankfully, I've done this. You know, I've done a few of these. It's the fourth now. So I'm kind of recognising what these parts are, because obviously, without good reference, the instructions aren't going to really particularly help you. Right, so so I need to choose some grey colours, which are going to be lighter. If I can, I mean, I should really put, once I've made a decision what colour suits highlighting certain colours, I should maybe write on it, or I'm not that well organised. So we have a light grey here, which I'm just looking in the light. Now it's obviously translucent. See, he's got the nice bluish quality, but he's a bit too light and too blue. If I can do it without mixing the colour, it'd be so much more useful. So what we've got here, this is dust, no, cream brown. I think this is one thing that the range of paint is lacking here, is it's like some greys. You know, when I use other paints, my airbrush paints, greys, light greys and medium greys are the most useful colours to have, because they're a way of lightening without changing the colour too much. So we've got a neutral grey here. I don't take too much notice of the colour on the outside, because that's normally quite different. I think this might be quite green on there. So I think that is maybe what I used to lighten the 66 RMO2. So I'm not going to use that. Although I wonder. So unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to mix. So we want a black that hasn't got. Maybe the smoke might. We want a black that hasn't got too much brownish colour in it. I think that's the black. So I put a little black just in here. Yeah, people leach these colours out, on cardboard, and yeah, that works, but as long as it's not going on mad thick, I find it dries pretty quick. So yeah, far too much black than we really need. And then where's that light bluish grey? I think this would give us a good. So this is the light grey of the Abteilung. I've been using these paints for about 2-3 years. I actually don't make them anymore, but I think AK carried it on. But they are really, really good. Let's take a little bit of that out a minute. They are really good with the fine pigment. Now I don't really want to use a fancy brush for mixing it up, so let's just grab a bog standard brush here. I'm sure we've got some piece of shit brushes somewhere. Okay. Right, let's just find a crappy brush. There we go. Right, so we're looking at making a highlight colour for the RLM 66. Like I said, oil paint is so translucent that we can really get away with it being not the exact colour. Well, I probably made a bit of a bodge job of mixing that together there. So we've got a little bit of the cockpit that's never going to be seen. A little bit of the cockpit is never going to be seen, so we can use that as a sample. That's maybe a bit, could be a little bit too light. Just be a bit cleverer here. Right, I actually think the original colour was probably better. So I'll just mix all that together. I've eaten the cockpit there. I'm going to have to paint the detail first and then go in there highlighting the edges. But we can do the landing gear and the wheel wells and the gear doors. Right. A slug of coffee. So where's my parts? Here we go. So we got gear. Got gear. Got rear wheel, gear door, whatever, bay door, and the K has extra like 2-piece gear doors. So right, get me diddy brush. Like I say, we're not looking for thick oil paint, so if I start with this tiny little piece, I'm looking at it, I can't really tell what's the outside edge. But that's all I'm going to do. I'm looking to put I'm still not certain that's light enough now. Okay. Right, let's try this side. Bit of filler just to keep it translucent. That looks looks better. So let's try this. You almost want to make a line that's almost as thin as we can almost make it. I'm going to say this is, and this oil paint, what's underneath it is lacquer paint. So the beauty of using this, as you've seen there, if I went wrong I just wiped off my finger. And normally I'd have a brush with just a clean bit of thinners on just to clean up. This is a large part, so I don't need that in a minute. Right, so I'm just I spoke too soon. I think I do need a clean brush. Right, so I'll clean the brush, put a little bit of just neat thinners in there, just a drop or two. Clean brush, dry off a little bit. Where I'm not happy with it, just come in there and clean it off. I can wipe that with my finger, then that's clean for next time I need to correct something that's gone wrong. When it's actually cleaned it up to just how I want it. I can also come in there, I'm just going to use the side of the brush there because it's easier. Just do the edge. Well, I say the paint's got some thinner in it, so it's not going to stand proud. It's not going to be a big chunky piece of oil paint. Right. The other side is going to be painted in a traditional manner. I mean, gear doors isn't really where it's really required, but on this kit there's so much beautiful detail. I thought I'd try and enhance some of it. Right, so let's do a main door, main gear door. All I paint it. Just don't want to carry too much paint. Right, so here I'm going to try and put a line. Get under the camera. Try and put a line on the outside of that raised detail. Little clean up brush. Just ready to go. I mean, I say clean up brush is also a good way of blending it if it's just a little bit stark. Okay, so this, I find this effect, along with some dark washes. I mean, here we can actually use this side of the brush, almost just dabbing it on and run it along, just to get a little bit of paint on there like that. Okay, so we're doing it. Nice line there, but it just kind of ends a bit abruptly, so let's just blend that. Just blend that in a little bit. Okay. Kind of thing I normally do of an evening. I think that's a bit too wild. Of an evening when I might watch some crap YouTube or something. You see, the first mark can be a bit heavy, but with the cleanup brush, you can come in there and get it just how you desire it. Like that. I'm trying to do this in the light. I haven't got the best light set up here for filming. It's the Sirius in the corner of the picture, but hopefully it's giving you an idea. Of a technique you can use to bring out the detail in miniatures. Okay, so that's all done down there. Just run a bit of paint up these. Okay. I'm sure you've all been interested to watch a Gundam video occasionally. Or not Gundam, Warhammer painting video. Yeah, this is the techniques they use. There we go. So that's that. So it's so small, but to get light on it, I'll put that away so it can dry. And one thing to watch is that when you stack all these pieces up over whilst they're drying, they don't rub on each other, because that will take the paint off. So I say it would be wet for 24 hours or when you decide to varnish it. Yeah, most of this could be done with the side of the brush. You know, trying to bottom it like so. And you just come in there and hitting the edge. That's worked quite nicely. But it's all good practice. So this outside edge. Clean up in the middle. We want it clean. We want it with thinners on, but we don't want running with thinners. You notice I can't talk whilst I'm actually painting it, because I'm actually holding my breath to keep a steady hand. So again, those two bits, super easy. Just run a bit up here. Right. So I was saying, so the paint underneath is lacquer paint. And that tends to be, well, I love the finish it gives you, but also enables me to then use other spirits and chems on top of that. That's not going to affect, you know. So I could paint and do detail. Also, for instance, I do exhaust staining with acrylic paint on top of the final paint job, because then I know I can wipe it off if I need to. Start again without affecting the underpaint. It's the same with this. As long as it's just oil paint thinner, white spirit, it's not going to affect the base colour. It's actually how I paint my miniatures as well. So I'm sure I'll get a video up on my miniature painting eventually. When I say miniatures, what I'm talking about is 1/72 scale figures to go with vehicles or aircraft in 1/72 scale. Yeah. So just some blending or cleaning up, whatever you want to call it. Basically, you can highlight any part of it, and it doesn't, as long as it doesn't look like it's been done by hand, then it's perfectly acceptable. So I would say, just go with it, you know. Just hide anything that looks like it's been done by the human hand holding the paintbrush. Just needs blending in. Right, that's all done. Right, let's try landing main gear. Well, we have these bits, dead simple. I'm just using the shape of the long bristles there just to line up with the edge, looking in front of the tip, just to guide me. Just that. Again, making sure it doesn't touch other parts when I put the join. Okay, the main gear. Let's see what goes on here. So now, from what I can tell from reference, I'm trying to think what they call it, but the supporting arm of the stanchion, this piece here, is a different colour to the rest of the gear. That's why I haven't sprayed it RLM 66 down there. So that would be a metallic, well, I might not use metallic colour, but metallic representing, or colour representing steel for the stanchion of the suspension arm. And then the suspension brace is also going to be in metal. Then the rest of the gear up, I've been painting RLM colours. Right, so what we want is, on that edge there, I want a highlight on the top and a highlight on the bottom. This thin band can have a highlight all across it. So got a little bit of dust on my brush there. So what looked like a dodgy bristle was actually a piece of dust. So just take them off. Right, so it's going to have a wash on it. So the wash will, like there, went over onto the flat surface. The wash will almost tie that edge up. Yeah, it will redefine that square edge. So it's kind of forgiving. I've done that whole band, but I may as well now do those two edges. And here we got, like, remember I said it was two edges, so we can almost just come in and do both at the same time, and then the wash will run between the two to redefine it again. Okay, so and the paint goes so far. I mean, do this all day long. You probably wouldn't have to squeeze out any fresh paint. So we're still in the video. Yeah. Good guess. Fortunately, the sun's gone down now, so we haven't got the best light for filming here. I just want to show you, hitting up these edges. And then when I put a wash on there, you can see how it pops. So all these raised parts here almost gives us a chance to define it a bit better than the kit's done it by painting this on. I'm trying to do this quite quick for the camera, but you know, it doesn't need, like I said, too much care, because when that wash comes in, it will square the edges off again. It's just that one. Maybe now I'll have a look at the cockpit. I might be able to find some other shapes to show you. Maybe that's better for you. Right. So we've got this box there. First bit was good, second bit was a bit fat. Just clean that brush off. Come in and just clean it back. Okay. You could probably do this dry brushing, I suppose. It's two different ways of achieving the same thing. And it seems to be better on camera, but it's actually a bit dark for me to see, but we'll carry on for a minute. Right, so this black edge. Just tidy that up a little bit. Or a lot. Again, this is going to have a wash, so it will, any overpaint onto the flat surfaces is going to sit on top and effectively hide it. So yeah, see how it's forcing the contrast. Probably come in and do that bit. Just about on camera. Okay, and that, as you can see, is just forcing the detail. Yeah, there's many. It's unrealistic, but then it's also, we're trying to achieve a scale effect. So does that mean that, you know, the lightening of edges? Now I would put a line across there, but the actual kit sculpting is actually pretty poor there. I might be able to just tidy it up by straightening that edge. So I've actually straightened the edge there because the plastic was a bit wonky. Right, and then the obvious things. We've got an edge of a seat here. You can just literally run the paint up that, the side of the brush. Likewise in there, and we can probably do it here as well. Just hitting the edges up. It's actually quite a fun thing to do. Let's say on a boring weekday evening, it's not the worst task. Here we can say with confidence that the edge of the seat would have been a bit paler as it would have worn. So I'm going to come in here in a bit, and I will paint the harness in oil paint, and then like I said, everything will get a flat coat, so you should look like the real deal. There we go, that's the seat, nicely highlighted. Now we could do the edges here, you're not going to see it, but we could do the edges like that, you see. Stick or control column rather. That I'm probably not going to highlight because, well, actually no, probably you kind of need references to tell what it's made out of, but I could probably just run a bit on this top part of that, because that's probably all RLM 66. Likewise, there's a piece down here. Again, those raised bits are going to have a wash as well, so it's going to tidy up anything I'm doing there. It's going to redefine the flat square edges. Now what else are we looking for? So I mean, not quite sure what that detail is there anyway. I think it's probably in the foot plates, but obviously it's not the rudder pedals, is it? So these we can probably just come in and just use the side of the brush to pick up, highlight the detail, highlight the raised parts. Probably do it on there as well. Same on the other side. This is going to be a bit trickier. Just plan me move. I actually have to paint it on this one. But again, this is a perfect example of where if I miss and it goes onto the flat part is going to have a wash on it. So that's going to hide any imperfections. So there we go, that's that. Some of this stuff's really kind of quite hidden now, but we'll do it so we can go along these edges. It's actually a leather strap in the middle there, so that'll be painted leather. And we can be a bit crazy and run the edge of the brush around this shape here. Trying to get a little bit symmetrical. Almost achieved it apart from the very last stroke of the brush, but we can tidy up. And that's that. The rotor pedals are going to be painted like a steel colour, so there's no need for that to be done. Well, last thing is maybe this Still on the camera. It's just the raised part here, which you're not really going to see, but okay, so that's pretty much there with that. So there you go. That gives you an example of how we're using some Warhammer techniques, or Warhammer miniature painting, figure painting technique, I suppose, to force the light and dark contrast within the dark cockpit. Okay, see you again on the missing scale, missing detail scale modeling channel.